Al-Ma'idah tonight, and we are right now in Surah Al-An'am. So, inshallah, we will be talking about Surah Al-Ma'idah. Surah Al-Ma'idah is one of the Madani surahs, and it's considered as one of the final surah with respect to ahkam, with respect to halal and haram. And Al-Ma'idah means dining table, so it's dealing mainly with the halal and the haram with respect to what we eat. And in the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that all kinds of dead meat of the halal animals. Haram animals are haram anyway. Even if somebody slaughtered with the Bismillah, a haram animal cannot be halal. But halal animals are not halal if they die natural death without being slaughtered in the right way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a list of those that how in different way an animal can die, by strangling, by dying, by falling from the height or other kinds. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in when it comes to haram, in many ayat it is clear that pork is haram, and an animal which is not slaughtered in the name of Allah, which is slaughtered in the name of other than Allah, it's not halal, it's haram. And the blood is also haram. That's why the slaughtering method is that it needs to bleed completely. Besides this, in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions two more haram things, which is the khamr and the maisir. It comes at the end of Surah Al-Ma'idah that intoxicants, many translations write khamr as in Urdu sharab or wine or liquor or alcohol or anything, but khamr basically means intoxicant that covers our thinking faculty and makes a person does not think right way. This is khamr, and it could be anything. It could be a liquid, it could be anything else, it could be something that is smoked, anything which compromises a person's thinking ability, that is called khamr. And khamr is basically the girls or the ladies' cover of their head is called khimar, which is also from the same word khamr, but khimar is physical, it covers the head, but khamr is the one who covers what is inside the head, which is the thinking, the brain or the thinking faculty. That's why both have been used in the Quran, khamr and khumuruhunna ala juubihinna, which is coming in Surah An-Nur, inshallah, we'll talk about it. Besides this, since eating halal purifies us, eating haram impures us from inside, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions next to it also the ahkam of the tahara. Wudu is mentioned, ghusl is mentioned, tayammum is mentioned. So these ahkam of tahara comes with the halal and the haram, because that also have the same impact on us, because basically the physical and the spiritually and physically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to stay pure and clean, and that is what both these things have been mentioned. The other thing which has been mentioned frequently in this surah is Ahlul Kitab. Almost 6 times Ya Ahlul Kitab has been used in this surah. But overall, in the whole Quran, the word Ahlul Kitab has been used for 61 times. And this is a particular term of the Quran which is used for Christians and Jews. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not call them kuffar or mushrikeen or others, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them a title which is called Ahlul Kitab. This is a positive title. And Imam Razi has mentioned this is just like somebody say Ahlul Quran, because they follow the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a positive title, this is a respectable title, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to get closer to the Quran. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not really curse them like the munafiqeen have been cursed in the Quran as qatalahumullah. The Christians have been criticized with respect to their false aqidah, but they have not been condemned or repelled like that, but they have been invited and they have been mentioned that you come back, it is good for you. خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them. So they have been mentioned like that. And on the top of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions وَطَعَامُ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ حِلٌّ لَكُمْ. That the food of the people of the book is halal for you. وَطَعَامُكُمْ حِلٌّ لَهُمْ. And your food is halal for them. And وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ حِلٌّ لَكُمْ. And those protected women, that they are guarding their chastity, they are protected, they are halal for you from the people of the Ahlul Book, but not just like for passing time or making a girlfriend, but for proper marriage with the mother. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, the condition when He mentioned. Now if you look at it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning food. You eat with them, they eat with you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions you can marry their women. What is the meaning? The meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to get close to them and expose them to Islam. And this is the how when you get close to them, they know Islam. Instead of learning Islam from anywhere else in a negative way, they need to see what Islam is. So with the respect to our neighbors, our co-workers, it's important if you look into this ayat of the Quran that we need to cultivate relations with them for the sake of the da'wah. So we don't live separately, making walls for years and years and no messages passing on. It takes time when we get to that level that they start asking questions about Islam. That is the level we need to bring them with respect to the comfort level. And so they start asking questions about Quran. The moment they start asking questions, they are the fit for and good for the da'wah. And then we use that opportunity, but we have to bring them to that level. And then they will open their windows. Otherwise, their hearts and their brains will be locked. They will not even listen. Besides this, my respected brothers, the three things have been criticized with respect to Ahlul Kitab in Surah Al-Ma'idah. One is divinity of Jesus, that they believe Jesus is God. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ. The second thing is Trinity. The concept of Trinity has been criticized, condemned. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. This is with respect to Christians. Jews are also considered Ahlul Kitab. So one aqidah of the Jews has also been condemned in Surah Al-Ma'idah, and that is وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ وَالنَّصَارَى نَحْنُ أَبْنَاءُ اللَّهِ وَأَحِبَّاؤُهُ. You know, there is aqidah in the Judaism, in the Yahudiyyah, that we are the chosen people. We are the beloved of God, and God has promised us and nobody else. So this has been condemned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has questioned that there is nothing like that. Before we finish, there are particularly two ayat in Surah Al-Ma'idah that I would like to mention. One is ayat number 33. إِنَّمَا جَزَاءُ الَّذِينَ يُحَارِبُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَسْعَوْنَ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَسَادًا أَنْ يُقَتَّلُوا أَوْ يُصَلَّبُوا أَوْ تُقَطَّعَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَأَرْجُلُهُم مِّنْ خِلَافٍ أَوْ يُنْفَوْا مِنَ الْأَرْضِ. The punishment of those that they are fighting against Allah and His Rasul, that they should be kicked out, they should be banned. Those that they are creating fasad and they are killing people, they are breaking in, robberies, all those things. And yuqattalu, they should be killed. Yusallabu, they should be hanged. Tuqatta'a aydihim wa arjuluhum min khilaf, their legs and arms should be cut on the opposite direction. Aw yunfaw min al-ard, or they should be banned. The reason I am mentioning this, recently the chief of Pakistan Army has mentioned this ayat repeatedly against his political, those that he is against them, the whole party. He has arrested so many men and women and put them in jail and telling them, you are the one creating fasad, we are going to cut your legs and hands from the opposite direction. Now, we don't want to discuss over here politics or whatever is going on, but if somebody is messing up with the Sharia, with the Quran, then it is our responsibility to respond to it. This ayat particularly was revealed in Medina when some people from the Qabila of Arina came. There Rasulullah ﷺ sheltered them, they accepted Islam, and then later on they turned away. They became murtad. They not only became murtad, they killed the people, and they cut their legs and arms, and they put thorns in their eyes, and they cut the legs of their camels, and they ran away. And this was the ayat revealed, and Rasulullah ﷺ implemented this punishment on them. But compared to that, you cannot really implement on the political opponents, misusing the Quran and disrespecting the Quran al-Kareem. This is one thing that I wanted to mention. Second thing that the ayat that I want to mention over here is ayat number 51, which is also generally misunderstood. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tattakhidul yahuda wan nasara awliya. Generally it is considered the meaning that don't take Jews and Christians your friends. But this is not what it means. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is allowing you to marry a Jewish or a Christian lady, how can you be marrying somebody and still keeping it enemy, not making friends? This means awliya over here means don't make them your wali, your guardian. Do not start following their policies, and it applies mostly at international level. Don't start listening or obeying the foreign policies or the other things, the way they want you to act, the way they want you to do. Don't start following them. Don't start depending on them. And that's what actually it means. It's not that you cannot, if you will not make friends and you will keep animosity, how are you going to make da'wah to the Jews and the Christians? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us that we understand the Quran al-Kareem inshallah in this month of Ramadan, and we practice it and put it in our life. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر